Hey YouTube family, James Green, Short Series Shenanigans. Today we're doing kind of a real quick video. The reason I do these videos is because I think maybe it'll help somebody, and you guys know I'm a hobbyist. I'm always looking for an easy way to do things because it makes it simple, especially us as hobbyists. Sometimes there's individuals out there that they don't know and they're learning, and I've had a gentleman contact me today and was curious about gear cutting. I apologize, I don't remember your name. I have a lot of emails I usually check on Saturday and Sunday. And but anyway, thank you. Go ahead and keep emailing me, guys and gals. I love your questions via email. When I sit down in the evenings, early in the mornings, I like to go through them. So anyway, what we're doing, we're making parts for the bolt gun build. And what I like to do on my small stock stuff is, rather than single point small stuff, I like to use my die stocks. And a lot of you probably already know this, but some of you that may not, I'm going to show you what I do that works well for me, and maybe you'll pick something up from this that makes it handy, so you don't have to do everything by hand. Because for those of you who don't know, I have nerve injury to my right arm, so I really try to find things that makes it easy. And a shortcut, we always say, keep it simple, stupid, or, work smarter, not harder. So that's what we're doing. I'm actually making for my mini mill, because it has metric studs. They are 10 millimeter by 1.25, I believe. I'll have to double check. I'll make sure I tell you guys correctly. Anyway, and you just use 3/8. I've got some stainless bar stock, 304 stainless, that you use because it's right close to 10 mil. And so I thought, hey, while I'm making these, it was like, while I'm working with this stuff, I've been needing to make some replacement studs for my mini mill, because a couple of them have been bent from being over. You guys know what I'm talking about. So anyway, that's what we're doing, and I thought, well, let me go ahead and show you guys this while I'm doing everything. So I'm going to turn the camera down. We're working on the lathe here, and we'll get started. I'll try to get you guys a good view, and hopefully you will get something beneficial out of this. So, and I will try to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay, for those of you that don't already know, I'm a big fan of the 5C Collet Chuck. Let me get my viewfinder to flip. There we go. I'm a big fan of the 5C Collet Chuck. For number one, I've always talked about for short round pieces, it's hard to hold them in a 3-jaw. So, and what we're working with today, things like this, I've already threaded one side of this because this is going to be a replacement stud for one of my clamping studs on my mini mill. So what I do is, and also case in point, you're not going to mess up threads. Now if you try to clamp on with a 3-jaw onto threads that are just freshly done, it's gonna mess them up. Trust me, I've tried it. Now if you don't have a 5C, what you can do interim is create you a holding device, if you will. Make you the female portion to this. Like, just take a piece of bar stock, like 1018, whatever, drill it and tap it, so that way as it goes down, it'll bottom out in it. Now keep in mind though, you're going to have an open area here where you need to be able to grab onto it, maybe with some vice grips or something, to be able to, because as this is threading, it's going to tighten into your stud at the bottom. So or you can take, I've seen guys do, you can take and put a couple nuts on there and double nut it, although I have personally tried that a couple times, and my experience was I ended up pulling threads. You can try stacking 2 or 3 nuts. I haven't personally had good luck doing that, but in a pinch, if that's all you've got, go for it. But what I found works good, if you don't have a 5C and you've got a 3-jaw, get you a piece of bar stock that's larger, drill it and tap it for the same thread. That way it bottoms out, and you'll have an area where you can just, you can come back here and dress this up with a, a file, because it's just a holding bolt for a mill. So we'll go ahead with this. This is 3/8, and of course, since we've cut it 10 mil, the threads have swelled just a bit here. So all you do is you loosen your collet out, slide it in, and what I love about the 5C is that it does not damage the threads. We're really pulling down here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about whenever we get done. Let me grab a nut real quick, so when we pull this out, I'll show you how well the nuts still slide on and off there. Let me grab one real quick from the mill here. Okay. All right. All right, there's our nut. And so what we're going to do here, and as I've talked about before, and this is where these come in handy, because I like to getting good, now these were just bandsaw cut to length. So you don't have to go on and try to face it, because I've seen people try to do this. They'll try to go on with a tool and think, oh, I need to dress that end up. You got to beware on this small stuff, and you know, unless you choke it up really short, there's really no need to. Because what we're going to do is we're going to come in here. This is where I like using the Uniburr. Okay, I'm a big fan of the Uniburr. Make sure we got it in low here. We're doing this in 70 RPM. Come up here, lock it in, and we get a really aggressive or a really big taper to lead in. Okay, now I found that really helps with, again, this is just a stud to do threading. Now let me double check and make sure I'm telling you the correct size that I have in here, because I do not want to misspeak. That's one of my biggest things I've been working on for 2016, is making sure that I tell the correct, because sometimes I watch videos back and you know how you say one thing and you mean another. So let me make sure. Oh, correction, see, I was wrong. It's 1.5 thread. So this is a 1.5 thread pitch by 10 millimeters. So I don't know why I was thinking 1.25. So it's a 1.5 thread pitch is what we're working with here. And that, because my mini mill was originally, it's an import, so it has metric die stocks, or metric bolts and everything on the setup deal. Okay, so here we go. 304 stainless rod. I've got a bunch of it. Makes great replacement studs for this. And we're just going to make sure we have plenty of oil in here to start off with. Just kind of be liberal with it, get some started. And what I usually do is I'll feed this forward here and use this to rest my die stock on. Now what you can do, if you guys got one of these Grizzly lathes like I do that has the bump start, to get started correctly so you're not tearing anything up, you can reach over here with your bump button and get it started. Okay, we're started. There you go. And we just make sure we're feeding properly here, and you have plenty of room, and so the tool's holding right up on the rest. You can see. Okay, so there we go. Reverse procedure. And I always make sure that when it's coming back that it doesn't rest on, because this is the scale for the DRO. I always make sure that it doesn't hit on it. I do this a lot on threading when I'm using a die stock in the lathe. It's so handy. And there's no need to try to single point all of this. You could, but a tremendous amount of time is spent going back and doing multiple passes, and you know, some guys are really fast at it, but you see how quick that was. That was in and out and done. Let me blow chips out. Now what I usually do next, okay, while it's still in there, and I'll just slide this, get this off. I try to usually get the bulk of my chips out of the way. While it's still in there, because the threads are kind of sharp and we kind of want to get them down for our nut, because I'll show you right now. Here's the nut, okay. I hadn't even blowed it off yet. Let me blow that off. Let me kick it over in high. Now I'll show you why it's important to take a file over the top of your fresh cut threads. Here is one. I mean, it does spin pretty good, but those are pretty sharp. Okay, it does fit real fine, but what I like to do, because those are really sharp and they don't need to be, I don't want to take a chance on slipping and slicing my hand, and it's just a real simple, real light pressure. So there we go. And I always get done. I always card my files off when I get done, just a habit I have. So they're immediately done. Okay, let's blow that out. Okay, we come over here back, put our e-stop in. and we'll spin this out. Now this was the side that we had our nut in, and see, we did not damage the threads at all. Okay, I'm still holding it, and I'll show you how well. So I know from past experience, trying to clamp on that with a 3-jaw, you're going to booger up the threads, and I did the same thing to it that I did here. I just did a smooth, smoothed it with a file on top, kind of take them down a little bit. Again, this is just a clamping stud for a mill, nothing super critical. And so there you go. Another handy case where the Uniburr comes in handy, guys. www.uniburr.com. This is actually the Uniburr Plus. Go check them out. It's a good little product. Again, I bought this. I love them. This is where they come in handy when you're making small stuff like this and you need to get a good lead angle to start before you're running your die stock. This is where it really comes in handy. It really pays off. So hopefully today, from this little this video, you go back around the camera over here. So hopefully from this little video, like I said, you guys have learned something. They're really handy. So now I've got my replacement studs that I needed, because I had to make a couple, because one was, threads were pulled, and then I had a larger one that it was bent, and now I can just, and plus this way I can make the threads a lot longer and stuff like that. And there you go. Hopefully this has been helpful. I always try to make sure that whenever I do a video, it has something that's maybe worthwhile and educational. Maybe you guys already know this trick, or it's like, I know my videos, they're on YouTube, they're all over the world. So as I always say, depending on where you're at, and this might be your way of learning. So hopefully today I've showed you guys typically what I do. And I always say, if I have a die and a tap for every common, now there's all sorts of really fine specialty threads, but from 1 inch down to, I say, 0.80 stuff, but typically anything that is from 1 inch down, I try to have a tap and a die. If it's a common thread, right or left hand, that I might run into, typically right hand, I like to just use a die stock. That way I have the tap. I usually have die and 2 or 3 taps, depending on, especially if it's a left hand type stuff, I like to order extra taps just in case I break one. But it just makes it simpler. Trying to single point small stuff like that, I see guys try to do it, and it's really hard, because at times if you don't have it just right, you waste it's time. There's a lot of time spent right there trying to make several passes and get your right depth and go back. Whereas the die stock, you saw how I did it. Chucked it in there, went up with the Uniburr, got my really aggressive lead angle started for my, because they are, bolts for just clamping studs is all they are, and it just zip, and you're done. The only thing that would make it faster is if you had a die stock head, where you had a geometric die head, you just zip, and that's fast too. But that stuff you have common, I mean, that's an old Craftsman set that my dad has had. He got that thing in the early 80s, late 70s, I think. And I think I've only broken a couple taps out of it. But hopefully today's video, short, sweet, to the point, me, short, serious shenanigans. It's been beneficial. You guys, my public email address if you have any questions, eagledustoff37@gmail.com. Shoot me an email. Ask any questions about any of my videos. I'm on Instagram. I'll post pictures. Again, we're heavy into the bolt gun build right now, so we are taking a break from doing woodwork for a couple of days because our arm's giving us fits. So we're switching over to doing a bunch of metal work right now, and a lot of exciting stuff, guys. This is a really phenomenal build, and the grease board's working out great. Like I said over today, I'm going to work on this today, and so we're working on it. We're checking off parts as we build them, because I'm going to do a lot of machining on a lot of stuff and get it built and have it stacked up and ready to go. And because there's a lot of stuff that I've got to weld to get, there's going to be some TIG welding in this. I'll try to show as much as I can, but it's going to be doing stainless, and we're going to be using up some new rod that I haven't used before, and I'll make sure I show that on video and we'll see the results. So again, as my videos are always live and unedited, hope you've enjoyed it. Click the like button down at the bottom, subscribe, and take care of yourself and your family, because remember, at the end of the day, you and your family is all you got. Until next time, you guys, be safe and wear all your protective equipment. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.